Welcome to the Time Capsule Show, where we explore the meaning of life in the 21st century through the eyes of people just like you and me. I'm Joenrhuz, and today we have entrepreneur, actor, and creator of Actor's Accent, Steve Young. Welcome, Steve.
Hi, thank you. Thanks for having me, JR.
Of course, it's a pleasure to have you today. So, I know you do a lot. You're an actor, you're an entrepreneur, you created Actor's Accent. So, can you just tell us more about yourself, your background, and what you do?
Yeah. Um, well, I I would say I'm a strategic thinker, and I enjoy a lot of sales and marketing, and have a passion for acting. So I managed to combine that. That's what I'm doing now. I set up my own lead generation consulting company, which allows me to work independently, giving me sort of time and location freedom in my career. Plus, also gives me time to pursue my acting opportunities. I was born in the UK. I have my family from the United States, and I used to work on Wall Street, believe it or not. But I keep that quite quiet. I then decided what I wanted to do is give back to the industry, the arts, and help other actors, which was really important to me. So that led me to set up my business, my other business services, actorsaccent.com, as you know, which is an American and British accent audio program for actors everywhere. And I'm very proud of Actors Guide to Hollywood. It's an ebook predominantly geared to any actor, any up and coming actor who wants to or who's thinking of moving to Hollywood. It's good for American actors, but it's also predominantly geared towards international actors like British, Australian, New Zealand actors that want to get up and go to break into the industry. There's a lot of problems there. We make a lot of mistakes. We spend a lot of money, and we burn five to 10 years of our life. And so it's a high level what to do, what not to do, and where to go, and what you need to think about before you think about that.
Awesome. So you've got a lot going on as an actor and also with this program that you have, but you also said that you worked on Wall Street. I was looking on your LinkedIn doing my podcast researching about the guest that we're going to have, which is you today. I didn't see that, I got to say. So,
Well, yeah, I have a profile online on LinkedIn for my arts and entertainment and my more creative work and my corporate stuff that I'm doing there. And then I have my other LinkedIn profile, which is more of that traditional corporate stuff. So I try and keep them separate, but that background, I used to be a management consultant in a hotel and hospitality industry. I traveled all over the world. I've lived in 9 countries around the world. I obviously worked from Wall Street. I lived in New Jersey. My family's from New Jersey, and I lived and worked in New York, London, Egypt, Cairo, Moscow, Hong Kong, Singapore, Jakarta, in Scotland. So there's
wow.
quite a lot.
So you've lived a very adventurous life. So out of all those countries, which one was the favorite?
I feel more at home in New Jersey, but I loved Hong Kong, and obviously I'm currently residing in Australia. So I love Australia. Melbourne's a great city, but I think Hong Kong was fun. A different lifestyle, a long time ago.
Wow, definitely. So you are now leaning towards your profession in acting. So what made you have that transition from this consulting management part to acting now?
Yeah, it's important because I get into acting very late. I was in my mid-30s, but I decided to get in and go to acting in the T. Schreiber studio in New York. I get into that for a few years. I also did stand-up comedy in New York for 3 years, 4 years. I performed with the likes of Louis C.K. and Jim Gaffigan, and some really world-renowned comics. I don't think stand-up comedy, I got pretty good at it, but I don't think it was really my calling. And so I think there's always a good time to start acting. You just need to feel it. I think for me, I didn't really feel it or want it until I was really at that particular juncture in my life. And then I really wanted to get into the arts. I was always very creative and entrepreneurial. And now I'm glad I found it. Better find it late than never.
For sure. So
Yeah,
it's
I'm not sure if I answered your question here.
I'm sorry.
I'm not sure I actually answered your question here.
I think you did. I mean, so
Yeah.
that's a pretty amazing transition. I mean, I think I've watched so many talent shows in the past, and there's so many people who have worked in Wall Street and banking and these corporate lifestyles, and there's always people who transition to the creative arts. I mean, there's that actor, right, who was a doctor. Now he's a comedian, he's a judge on The Masked Singer here in the US. And there's always people, I think, that have that creativeness that's always in them, but they get swayed a little bit during their journeys. But hey, everyone's entitled to their own journey. So, is there something that you learned being in corporate that you still apply even up to your artistic and creative endeavors today?
Um, oh, that's a great question. It's a very hard question to answer. If I learned anything, um, I have now. When I made the transition, um, I made a lot of mistakes. It was a new thing for me, even though I thought, well, I'm intelligent. I can figure this out. But I still found that I would make all the same mistakes, whether a young, actor in the 20s or coming out of university or college to try and get into the. I was still making those mistakes. I think a lot of up and coming actors make. You're looking to figure out, how do I do this? Um, so I that's the reason I wrote Actors Guide to Hollywood, is to take my learnings, because I went to LA, I moved to LA, I spent time, I worked and lived in LA, and trying to figure that out. And it's so challenging for a lot of actors, and it's only recently that I would say that I've learned a lot and I've taken that, but ultimately it's a business. What I've learned is acting is quite ruthless. If you look at it as yeah, strictly business, and approach it that way, I've done better since I've really got my head around that.
Mhm. So, why accents? Like, I know that you're an actor and you have this amazing background, but why did you choose to create actors' accent? Did you see a Margaret Fort? Did you think that many international actors could benefit from that program that you created?
Yeah, I wanted to save them money. I also wanted to do something that was an app that was easy to just. You're in the gym, you're on the treadmill, you're in the car, you can run these accents. A lot of American or North American actors, there's a lot of British plays that, and teachers cost a lot of money. I mean, I did it, $100 an hour, $80 an hour for a lesson. A lesson can only get you so far, with this phonetic sound changes from one accent to another country. And ultimately it's a day-to-day repetitive listening and hearing and drilling those kind of different phonetic sounds, in that particular accent. So I wanted to do something that was very cheap, very affordable. You could have it on your mobile phone, or your desktop, and it just made life easy for actors. So in the resources, it was a combination of the accent, which is valuable and important for an actor to do for different parts, expand their skill set, and then the ebook, which was to please don't make all these mistakes, and you don't need to read books that are 1,000 pages and read 5 of them. I just condensed all of that in a high level ebook, which tells you everything you need to know about budgeting for LA, visas, lawyers, entertainment lawyers, this and this, everything that I learned, I just put in at a high level, where to go, teachers, what's reputable, etc., etc. So it's a
That's
catalog, high level catalog and information about don't make these mistakes. I wish I had it. It's funny. I wish I had those 2 items when 10 years ago. I'd have saved myself probably about $10,000 and about 5 years of pain.
I mean, that's so great that you lived through those experiences and you put them and you consolidated them into this book. And you're helping out people that way. That's really great, especially for many actors out there.
Yeah. Yeah, and I've been fortunate. I've just recently had a small part in Blood Vessel that's just came out. I was working alongside Alyssa Sutherland from the TV show Vikings, Robert Taylor from Longmire, Nathan Phillips from Wolf Creek, and some Christopher Kirby who was in The Matrix. You know, those guys. It was great to work with those sort of guys and a production over here at that quality. You know, I was just recently working on some projects with some big features, doing some screen tests just this week. You know, there's a lot of that movies from the States coming here now because of COVID, and it shifted things.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm looking forward. There seems to be more opportunities because Australia is not exactly the place you would go to drown in acting opportunities.
Right. People usually think LA or New York, but that's great that Australia is starting to become that hub for, you know, these big films that you mentioned. So let's say that you weren't in the entertainment industry, you didn't start off in corporate. What would you be doing and why would you be doing it?
Yeah. Well, if I was younger, I'd want to be playing soccer for a living. That would be my dream job, playing for Liverpool, but that's not going to happen. But I think now I would, if I wasn't doing any sort of form of entertaining, I think it'd still have to be in sales and marketing, maybe an outsourced sales and marketing company. I enjoy because it's a broad variety of dealing with clients and customers and helping them and give value. So we're driving and delivering real tangible opportunities for these customers, and we can see their business grow, and that gives me satisfaction.
I mean, that's kind of similar to what you're doing now, right?
It is similar. So if I was to give you something completely different, yeah, that's true. That's true.
Well, that counts. That counts. I was just saying that, you know, it does sound similar to what you're doing now. So maybe you were always just meant to, you know, create something that would help other people in some field.
Yeah, I've started to write and direct recently. So I think if I was to do something else, I would be a director.
Director,
Yeah,
like for big films.
yeah,
Or
for directing a film. So I shot a proof of concept. I've shot some recently of a feature film that we're going into production. We're looking to go into production. I can actually grab it and show it to you if you want.
sure, yeah.
Yeah, just
Definitely.
give me.
Yeah, go for it. There. So tell us about that.
So this is Hell's Kitchen. This is an old school VHS cassette that
Wow,
I've had
that's
shipped in.
archaic.
Yes, and so what we've done is we've shot 17 minutes of the feature film. It's getting 5-star reviews. It's set in New York, 1978. It's a gangster film, so technically it's a cross between Goodfellas and you know, Carlito's Way, Donnie Brasco, that sort of thing. So when you open it up, so when an investor or a casting director gets this, it's an old school VHS. You've got a QR code. You can scan it. You can scan a QR code, takes you to the movie. But when you open it up, there's obviously no VHS cassette. But when you open it up, there is a USB stick, a personalized USB stick, and then in a small investor pack, which covers off some of the key, I guess the key items you would need at a very high level of, you know, what this movie is about, the investment, the production. So that was acting and writing, and it's also got the QR code to take you to the movie. So, and then you've got the USB stick, which is over there, but and then it's got the customized logo on it. It's an executive pack. So this is the movie. So a lot of films like Whiplash, you may recall Whiplash, movies like Saw, the Babadook. There was The Evil Dead, I think, even was originally what they did. Rather than put a bunch of paperwork together, they shot the feature. 17 minutes of the feature film, 3 different sort of parts, put it together so it worked as a short, but technically it's here's the movie, this is what it's going to look like, and this is how much we're looking for. But I wrote and directed that, and the reviews have been insane. The all been 5-star reviews, which is quite remarkable, and from independent critics. And we're launching that through film festivals this year, and also that this investor pack is going out probably in about a month's time. So that's exciting. It explores a power struggle inside New York's crime families in 1978, but it's fictional, so we've changed the names of the 5 families, and we're working in that. So after the feature, in theory, it could be a TV show,
Wow.
similar to The Sopranos. So it's going to be shot and designed that way. I should probably send this to you afterwards, a link at least, so you could watch the film. I should have probably given it to you beforehand. I didn't think.
Definitely. I mean, that's so great. That's such a great project that you're working on, and the potential for it to, expand into a series, hopefully. That's tremendous.
Yeah, exactly. So these are other projects that I have going on amongst all the other projects that I'm looking at. Yeah.
Awesome. So great that you're keeping busy with these great projects. And thank you for sharing Hell's Kitchen with us. So definitely, to anyone listening, make sure to go check that out. We'll definitely post that in the links or somewhere down below and in the description box. So we're now at the segment of the show that we like to call Past, Present, and Future, where we'll be exploring 3 different periods of your life. Are you ready, Steve?
Yeah.
So how do you see yourself now, and how does that compare to the person you were 5 years ago?
Uh, Now I feel comfortable with my level of knowledge. I feel pretty comfortable where I am now. 5 years ago, I thought I had a handle on things, but I realized I knew very little in comparison to what I know now. Um,
Mhm.
and 5 years from now, I can only hope I make some progress personally and professionally, and be happy and healthy. It's not much I ask.
So what's an example of some of those things that you know more now compared to 5 years ago?
I know more about how the business works within the entertainment industry with film. I learned more, not just part of my research, my ebook, but uh, the business side of it. I think it's important. That would be my advice to any young actor, is learn the business side of it, understand how movies are made, how you get things done, how things are greenlit, etc., and how things are distributed, how movies are distributed or TV shows are distributed. You just learn the things that you think you may not have an interest in. It will actually help you how you approach your acting career.
Hmm. So what is some advice that you would give to actors out there who are struggling or who just don't know where to start, or maybe they're starting a career and they woke up one day wanting to be an actor?
Um, Read Actors Guide to Hollywood. That can help. Uh, you you can get that at actorsaccent.com, but um, starting out straight out of college or acting school, I would say the first thing you do is obviously try and get into an acting school. Acting schools, in theory, are a good source to educate you. But I still left acting school not knowing a lot. Um, so go to acting school, pick their brains about how the industry works, what they need to do, and how they need to do it, and just try and read uh, read David Mamet's book on acting. It strips away. I read a lot of acting books when I was younger, and different techniques or whatever. But then when I read David Mamet's book around for actors, it made my acting better. It stripped away all the nonsense. I'd recommend that. Um, uh, and finding a coach, finding someone that you know who has done well or who has got some experience, and ask them to be a mentor, or take them for dinner and pick their brains. Try and find someone, the person that you want to be in 5 years.
Right.
that can, I'm not saying to use them or to get that information, but, genuinely partner and find someone that can mentor you, who's kind of lived through that pain and can help you not make those mistakes.
For sure. And I think that applies to any field that people want to enter. Always having a mentor is great to help you walk through the journey, to let you know what and what not to do, because they've made mistakes that they probably wish someone told them when they were at that point in their life. So it's always important to have a mentor in whatever field, I think.
Yeah.
So speaking of mentors and living life a certain way and having someone guide you through your journey, what principles do you live your life by?
Um, I've never really sat back and asked myself that question, which obviously means I don't really have, which in theory could mean I don't really have a set of principles. I've never really thought about it. But for me, it's just try and be nice, and be positive and respectful, and keep in touch with your friends, in person if you can, or by speaking to them, and just let them know that you care. I think, again, it's not much. It's a lot of people just forget those sort of basics, and I think that's how I generally live my life, with those sort of principles.
That's amazing. Yeah, it's definitely those little things that I think that people either take for granted or they forget. Like telling someone that you care about them is much different from showing it. I think just saying the words is what matters a lot, and it really touches people more.
Yeah, maybe just today, if you're listening to this, pick up the phone and call someone you haven't, a friend that you haven't spoken to for a long time. You put a smile on their face. More importantly, you'll be very satisfied by the time you hang up the phone.
Definitely. And also reach out to people that maybe you have some unfinished business with in a good way, not in a bad way. But maybe, I did that during COVID times. I messaged some people that I didn't get off on the best terms with, and I apologize for whatever I may have done, and just kind of close the door on those. I think sometimes people just have so many unclosed doors that they need to just address before they move on in life.
Yeah, harboring any sort of resentment is negative in the brain, the mind, the soul. Yeah, that's very true. Very good advice.
So I know you mentioned it a little bit in your answer to what principles you live your life by, but is there anything else that you'd want to add to what you're grateful for?
Yeah, for being alive, being healthy, having a job, a roof over my head, food on the table, and some people around me that love me. Um, again, that sort of, I think we take for granted a lot of, things that we the basic necessities that we have, and I think without it, the rest of everything else will crumble. So I would say I'm grateful for all of those things.
That's great. I mean, just yeah, just to be alive, just to be here speaking with you, just the fact that we're breathing. There's so many things in life to be grateful for. And for me personally, it's always the smallest things. Just waking up is something to be extremely grateful for, and being able to pursue passions such as yourself, pursuing your calling to acting and entertainment.
Yeah, and we just try and keep. My other advice is try and keep busy. I mean, a lot of people really rely on acting as the kind of be all and end all, and I find that maybe uh, more with younger actors. I think if I was to get into acting and I was 18 or 19 or 20, I may have done that same thing. I didn't really focus on other work and other things. I think the reason why I'm so comfortable is because I can explore it and do it in my own kind of time, and I can. But I'm working at the same time. It's not my only thing in life. It was easy for me to get resentful and be like, oh my God, I'm not getting cast in a Marvel movie. It's like, well, what can I do to help? What can I be? I like a go-giver. I want to, you kind of give out to the world. You'll get back from the world what you kind of give out to the world. And so I kind of wanted to really be positive, because I've been like other actors at some point, being kind of bitter and a little bitter and twisted, I guess. And I was like, no, we need to be positive. We need to give. I'm going to start giving. I'm going to create. I'm going to take the skills that I've got from my career, my corporate career, and start to create businesses and help the acting industry, and help people not make the mistakes that I made. And I feel pretty good about that. And I go into jobs now and auditions, and I just have a lighter demeanor, a lighter it's hard to describe. I feel happier about the things that I do now.
Is it like the energy you think that you carry with you?
I think so. Yeah, I think to do other things outside of acting, be sitting around waiting the phone to ring all your life, or get try and think you're going to get an audition. You let it go, do it, but do other things with your life. People have got a lot of potential that they don't realize they have. Do other things. Um, and chase your passion as well. Don't give. I'm not saying give it up, but I found that I've been able to balance that and do other things that are also connected to entertaining in the arts industry, as well as continue to pursue that sort of acting.
Definitely. So I think this is a perfect segue to our next question, which is similar to the title of our show, Time Capsule. So I know you have a lot of things that I think you'd want to put into this question, but if you were to leave something in a time capsule for people to dig up 100 years later, what would you put in there and why?
Maybe a catalog of some of my favorite films and TV shows to enjoy. And maybe a personal message from me, although I'm not entirely sure what I would say. Maybe my general thoughts on that, on what I hope the future would be. I think if I was to write a personal note, yeah, I think it would be what I would think the future would be and what it would hold, and so when they could compare that. But yeah, a catalog of films and TV shows that were my favorite, so that they can enjoy it. And yeah.
Would you put Hell's Kitchen in there?
Yeah, I'm definitely for this one. Yeah.
Well, I think you brought up an interesting point. You were talking about the future and you would write a letter on how you think things would look like in the future. So that makes me wonder, like, what do you think the film industry will look like in the future, considering, the pandemic hit and there had to be so many adjustments in the industry?
Oh, yeah, that's yeah, a difficult question to ask. I would, I guess, I would just try and be hopeful that that cinemas continue to flourish. Although streaming channels do seem to be, cinema chains are starting to close down, and they're struggling. It's very sad. I would hope that they would continue, or independent theaters would. The magic of the theaters, I hope, will never die. Streaming, I would hope it would be more abundant and easier to make films in the future. There's a lot of talented filmmakers and actors that don't get exposure. I think there's a lot of creative and interesting people out there with a lot of stories, good stories that they should be telling. It's difficult to get them off the ground. I'd hope that the industry would make it easier financially, and support with grants, and also independent investors. I hope it would be a flourishing industry in the future. I mean, you can only hope, but yeah, hopefully cinemas continue to flourish would be my. That's not even 100 years in the future. That's literally in 5 years in the future, 2 years in the future.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, because there's just been this huge shift to Netflix, Hulu, and to all these streaming.
Yeah.
And it makes me really worry about the cinema industry. I mean, it's an experience going to the movie theaters. It truly is.
Yeah, that first date, going on a date, taking a young date to the movies, and the romance, the excitement. I know I love watching horror movies in the cinema. I find it more scary than watching it in my house, but there's just something magical about the cinema, that it's sad to see some. I think it was a couple of big cinema chains in the States that closed recently. And the Village Cinema here were struggling. They're still open. The two big ones here are Hoyts and Village Cinema. But yeah, they've been hit pretty hard.
Oh,
So I'm hoping that they will continue to stay around and flourish. We'll see.
and hopefully we can look back 5 years from this podcast and say, thank God that happened. Thank God the cinema industry is back and alive.
Yeah, I'm hoping so too. Yeah.
Steve, we're close to wrapping up our show today. So is there anything else you'd like to add to tell our viewers? Where can they find out more about you and your business?
So I'm on So the three places. So LinkedIn, I'm Steve Young, but located in Melbourne. There's one Steve Young located in Christchurch. So I've got two LinkedIn profiles, so they can find me there. They can also find me at actorsaccent.com. They can also find me at leadgenerationconsultancy.com. And they can also contact me on Facebook via Hell's Kitchen, the film, or Hell's Kitchen Film. Forget my own handle. Hell's Kitchen, the film on Facebook, Actors Accent page on Facebook. So there's plenty of places to get a hold of me.
Awesome. So hopefully everyone will go check you and all of your amazing works online. So Steve, thanks so much for being a part of our time capsule. Thank you to our viewers for watching, and please make sure to like, comment, share, and subscribe. Tune in again next week to meet another amazing addition to our time capsule. See you guys next time.